third presenter is Dr. Andrea Loschery. She is from Austria. Now, it's not Australia, it's Austria. I had to, make sure that she's from Austria. And she has very interesting background. She studied Tibetology, Indology, anthropology, and the history of art in Paris, and also Shantiniketan, West Bengal, and Vienna. She's been a Buddhist since 1971, and she was also appointed by Austrian government to teach Buddhism in secondary schools for the past 12 years, which I think is a very encouraging, because in Korea, it's not taught in public schools. Buddhism is not taught in public schools. And to think that Buddhism is taught in Austria is very surprising to me. Recently, she was appointed as a professor at the Indo-Tibetan Department of Visva Bharati University in Shantiniketan, West Bengal. And that university is the first institute that teaches Tibetan studies in India. And it was founded 55 years ago. She also has a book published, and the title of the book is The Magic Power of Bones, on the use of skulls and the bones in Tibetan rituals. Dr. Loschery, please.
I was asked to speak on this conference on the Buddhist image of the feminine. And I will look at it at the perspective of the three kayas. I presented with a PowerPoint, the mouse, and I start with a quote. If you have the paper, you may read the quote, no need of me to repeat it. This is a quote out of the Savarahasya Tantra, and it quite hits the core of this topic, meaning space, absolute space, is called the mother. It is the great feminine. First, for an introduction, in Buddhist practice, as we know, there are so many paths which all leads to enlightenment, finally. Among these many paths, we may speak of four: the Shravakayana, Pratyeka-Buddhayana, the Madhyamakayana, and the Yogacharayana. There are different methods, all applying to reach the same goal. But the perfection of insight or wisdom, called Prajna Paramita, which is involved, is the same for all. So therefore, Prajna Paramita is regarded or is associated with the mother, and the four yanas, if we differentiate it, or all 84,000 dharmas, if you want, or yanas, are likened to the sons, either the four sons to the Great Mother, or 84,000 sons of one single mother. How does it go? It is also said that Prajna Paramita, the perfection of wisdom or insight, is the mother, and it is the heart of enlightened experience. Therefore, Prajna Paramita is also the mother of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And this association of wisdom with the feminine eventually gave rise to the notion of the divine female, which later became important, particularly in Vajrayana. There you have the quote. Actually, in Mahayana, the possibility of a female Buddha was not right there. I mean, the ability for a woman to attain enlightenment was unquestioned, but female Buddha, we have the development into the 5 Buddha mandalas, but it was not yet, it was only in Vajrayana where it developed, or Vajrayana is also part of the Mahayana. But in this tantric context, we, in particular in the iconography, in this very rich iconography of Vajrayana, female Buddhas appear. That means that Prajna Paramita is personified as a female goddess, you may say, or deity. But this Prajna Paramita, now taking a form, is the same as the Prajna Paramita which we find in the various non-tantric Mahayana scriptures. So as I said before, I want to explain this Buddhist image of the feminine, of divine female, you may say, from the point of view of the 3 kayas. In Buddhology, we would call this doctrine of the 3 kayas a later development, but being, as a practitioner now, as I want to speak, we go beyond that sort of concept of time. Because let's regard the 3 kayas from that point of view, from the inner point of view of meditation. And in meditation, we deal with our mind and the mirror of our mind, and we experience in meditation essentially our mind to be basically void, but is reflecting in various ways. Now, first, Dharmakaya, or the body of law, if you translate it literature, is without form and like empty space. Therefore, I don't give a picture. The absolute nature of reality, as we all know, is beyond description. It's beyond words and concepts. And this basis of voidness, beyond form, beyond words, beyond any sort of concepts, is similar to the sky. And this sky is the great mother, or is the great womb. In Buddhism, it is this recondition, this insight of the nature of the mind, of the reality, which has the image of the feminine, it is this perfection, means the non plus ultra of insight, Prajna Paramita, having no form, is given the shape and the form and the face of a woman. And it appears four-armed, of golden color, holding a vajra in the right hand and the lotus and book, meaning of course the Prajna Paramita Sutra, in the left, and seated on an immaculate lotus. And it is a state of completion without any self. Therefore, in Vajrayana context, also in the frame of Dharmakaya, she is also called, she has the name Nairatma Samantapadri, the lady without self. And here, the recognition of nature as the mother is the female, but inseparable with the object of recognition, which is the father. So when what is intrinsically without form is given a form, although symbolically, this experience moves into on another level, or in another body. And that's what we call not Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is without form, but that is Sambhogakaya, or the body of glorious enjoyment. The line between Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya and the personification of Prajna Paramita in form is very vague. And however, Prajna Paramita and as Sambhogakaya is certainly always motherly, kind and pacifying, peaceful. Here I show you some other representations of Prajna Paramita, wonderful murals of West Tibet, Tolin, painting some of you might have seen. And I'm focusing on the faces, of the different faces the artists made for expressing the mother. In West Tibetan art, all these West Tibetan paintings we find in Ladakh, in Himachal Pradesh, and in Tibet itself are made by Kashmiri artists. And then, of course, when you speak of the mother, when you speak of the peaceful aspect of the mother in Sambhogakaya, there is Tara. Tara, the white Tara, here a magnificent painting of Mongolian origin. Tara is the most popular among the female deities in the Indo-Tibetan pantheon. And no matter what school or what class or what position, she's venerated by everybody. And the Tibetans particularly find with the goddess a personal and enduring relationship unmatched by any other deity. She embodies the wisdom, compassion and activity aspect of all Buddhas. And the cycle of Tara encompasses 21 different forms which protect the practitioner from 21 different kinds of fears. Most commonly is this wisdom aspect as white Tara, and the activity aspect as green Tara. We have it here in a painting of Aichi, and also in another Mongolian scroll painting. I always like to introduce also the wonders of Mongolian art, because it's less known, but it's of perfect craftsmanship. This is still Aichi. And here we have a special Mongolian painting in a particular style, but it's not an art historian lecture. So this is the green Tara, and here we have an interesting Sino-Tibetan scroll painting of the 18th century, where Tara is another example of Aichi, where Tara is manifested or depicted as Guanyin in the shape of an elegant motherly lady. And this was the peaceful motherly aspect of the mother, of the absolute reality of mind. Now we come to another aspect, which is half peaceful and half wrathful. It is beautiful, seducing, enchanting. It is controlling and subduing activity in the glorious body of young, seducing girls, and charming and controlling with the defilements of passion and attachment, which obscure the mind with ego clinging and with grasping of duality. Just one example, Gurukula, who pierces with the flower arrow the heart of her victims. Or another famous deity is the Sarva Buddha Dakini, or Narukachema, which you find here in this Tibetan painting in her celestial mansion. And for those who are difficult to tame, the mother manifests as wild and wrathful, displaying an activity which destroys egohood from the root, and is also protecting the practitioner from outer and inner obstacles. Here we see the most popular form of a female wisdom protector, Sri Devi or Bhajan Lamo. With all in the text is in detail described all her attributes with which she fights her enemies, and she's riding on the cantering over an ocean of blood. Another important protector, also not protector but also at the level of Yidam or meditation deity, is the lion-faced Simhamukha. Just to give you a few examples of the colorful pantheon of deities in Vajrayana, especially Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism. And you see the changed expression, the changed shape, the changed energy these images present. So in this way, the wisdom mind embodies the four activities of enlightenment: peaceful, expanding, controlling, and destroying in the form of female deities. Now then we come to the third kaya, Nirmana kaya. Nirmana kaya, we may say, in the mirror of the phenomenal world, the perfection of wisdom may manifest in the human female form. This is called conventionally Dakini in the twilight language of Buddhist Tantra. And it translates into Tibetan as Skywalker. These women of wisdom played an important role in the Siddha tradition of Pala India, giving empowerment and transmissions to the tantric practitioners, acting as messengers and counselors in various forms, as girls, sisters, consorts, or ugly old witches, and making use of the magical powers or siddhis in order to tame their subjects. In Tibet, where the tantric Siddha tradition was introduced in the 8th century, the concept was, we have several historical figures. You see it here. There's Magic Lapchan, there's Yeshe Tsogyal, and also we have some local deities which are spirits, like as in this Sino-Tibetan painting. They are all, we call, Nirmana Kaya aspects of the mother. In this way, the Buddhist image of the feminine being the great mother, the great womb, the absolute reality, primordial energy, the base is...
Okay, thank you, Andrea.
But I
share
hope
that is beautiful. My name is Christy Chang. I'm from Taiwan. And since Professor Kim has to catch her flight, I'm taking over the rest of this panel. And may I introduce our next speaker, Venerable Karuna Dharma. Venerable Karuna Dharma receives a doctoral degree in Dharma, Doctor of Dharma, from the University of Oriental Studies in the United States. And she's one of the very first American women to receive full ordination. and she's been a pioneer in religious dialogues. And also, she's one of the founding members of Sakatita International. And if I'm not mistaken, she's also the one who helped prepare the legal documents to register Sakatita International in the United States. And today, Venerable Karuna is going to talk to us about images of enlightenment. May we welcome Venerable.
Thank you very much. I would like to just make one small change. I was not one of the first women. I was the first American woman to receive the entire bhikkhuni vows in America. I want to make that clear. I've been a bhikkhuni for 30 years now. Seems like yesterday. Where's the computer? Forgive me for any mispronunciations or even misidentifications that I made, because I just got this morning. I was sort of drafted by Venerable Karma, she's someone to give this. Because before I had sent about 2 months ago a topic that I wanted to speak on the making ordination of bhikkhuni ordination available to all women. But she was traveling and didn't receive that email. So when I arrived a few days ago, she said, oh, we already have 5 people speaking on the bhikkhuni ordination. So then she very graciously looked around for something that I could do. I hope that I can do this. Okay. So we're just waiting for the computer to catch up with us. These images of enlightenment both cover men and women, and of course it's going to start out with the primary figure of enlightenment, His Holiness the Buddha, first known as Prince Siddhartha. So we're going to be seeing several images of him to begin with. That is his sins that power us up and allows us to move on. As you all know, the Prince Siddhartha attained enlightenment when he went from what he learned from the great Vedic masters, and he turned his meditation inside because he could not attain it from looking outside of himself. And this is what makes Buddhist meditation different from other forms of meditation. We do not have to rely upon trying to become a Buddha from looking at a figure or a great master. We turn it upon ourselves. This is the only place where we can find enlightenment, right in here, not outside there. We're still not ready, huh? So as you look at these images, please realize that you too can attain the same state as these various people have done. This first picture is of Prince Siddhartha when he arrives, and it formulates the 4 signs that he saw that brought him to realizing that he had to leave the palace in order to attain enlightenment, in order to save all beings. You see, he sees the very ill man, the dead man, and then the renunciate who seems so supremely happy. So then we go on to the next one. And this is Prince Siddhartha in his meditation. But when he turned his view from looking outside for enlightenment to himself, he was almost starving to death. So at that time, a young woman named Sujata came along and offered him a bowl of rice gruel. She went to this particular tree that she thought held a tree spirit in it to thank him for allowing her to have a son. And so at that time she saw Siddhartha under it. She thought, oh, the tree image has impersonated itself into a human, but of course we all know that it was Siddhartha. And there's Sujata. Now we're under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya. You can see Tibetan monks and nuns in the lower left and lay people. These are some of the offerings that were made to the Buddha at his place where he was enlightened. And a statue of the Buddha. These pictures come from all over the Himalayas as well as Vietnam, and it looks to me like one of them is from Burma also. So when you go to Bodh Gaya, you can walk the path that the Buddha walked while he was there meditating for 49 days. And that particular statement is at the beginning of the path. His footprints. And one of the little stupas, now this stupa holds relics, I don't know if it's relics of the Buddha or relics of a particularly well-known monk, but all stupas hold relics either of holy people or of the Buddha himself. A statue of the Buddha being worshipped by several women. Sujatkan offering the rice gruel. You know, in particular in the Tibetan tradition and in some of the Theravada traditions, several times a year they will change their clothing on the Buddha, which appears to be what is happening here. Shakyamuni again in Bodh Gaya. And one of the bas reliefs that shows the Buddha in constant meditation. This to me looks like it's Burmese. I don't know if it is. Does anybody know for sure if this is a Burmese image? But at any rate, it is of Shakyamuni at the Parinirvana. You can always tell if he's dying or not because the eyes will be closed. But I can't tell if the eyes are open there or not. That is the difference between a resting Buddha and a Buddha entering Parinirvana because of the eyes. This looks like this came from a, oh, it looks rather Tibetan. Or it might even be in Hong Kong. But the images look Chinese, but at the same time they have a slightly Tibetan cast to them. This is obviously in a Korean temple because the nuns down below. And the Buddha flanked by his two bodhisattvas. I believe that this is Maitreya, particularly a Tibetan image. Now you see in a lot of these images, they look a little bit androgynous because the belief is as you move into enlightenment, your body form takes, because enlightenment does not have male or female in it, it's just the life force of the person who's become enlightened. So the images start taking on more of an androgynous form. When we see pictures of or images of Kuan Yin, you will see that she appears to have no breasts, although she's clearly a female. And some of the images of Shakyamuni or other Buddhas, even the Thai images, look to be partly female because of this depiction. The many, many images of the Buddha which go on endlessly. And I believe that that is Maitreya. Avalokiteshvara, you see what I'm talking about, the figures becoming more androgynous, because in India, Avalokiteshvara was male. But when he traveled to China, I think the Chinese were tired of having this whole litany of males. So they took his feminine aspect, because every bodhisattva has at least 48 aspects that they can be. So when Avalokiteshvara moved into China, they took away, they made him a female and named him Kuan Yin Bodhisattva. In Vietnamese, it's Quan Tian Bo Thai. Now here is a green Tara. And also Avalokiteshvara in Tibetan takes on several feminine forms as well as becoming Taras. I get mixed up who green Tara is versus white Tara because actually they're the same being, I hope. I'm not an expert in Tibetan Buddhism at all, but anyway, there's a picture of green Tara. And another Tara totally penance bow the offerings to her. Avalokiteshvara again. Avalokiteshvara can be pictured either as being like a human form or having as many as 1,000 arms. So this is one of the human forms of Avalokiteshvara, or those extra arms. I can't tell if that's part of the image behind him or if it's part of him. I think it's an image behind him, or it's the extra 2 arms of Avalokiteshvara. Here you see, this one has at least 48 arms, maybe more. I couldn't count all of them. But at any rate, in each hand is held a particular image of, because the Bodhisattva has to be able to go anywhere to do anything to help living beings. So you see each hand holds a different symbol, symbolizing a different form that he or she has to take on to do a different work. Kuan Yin Bodhisattva from the Chinese tradition. Again, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva can have many, many arms, as can Avalokiteshvara. Now this is a Tata with the right leg. No, this is the left leg going down. You can see, this is Avalokiteshvara or Kuan Yin. I think it's Kuan Yin Bodhisattva. So you can see she's sitting in lordly ease, which means that one foot is up and the other one is down touching the earth. Although it might be Mahasam, or it might be Mahasambha. Now this is a Vietnamese nun. I forget her name, but she was really acclaimed to have been a fully enlightened master. And in fact, in the Vietnamese tradition, one in our lineage line is a female. And I always like to tell people that. Because when you read our lineage, one of the patriarchs is actually female. So that's just an indication that Vietnamese Buddhism absolutely accepted women as bodhisattvas and as Buddhas even. And this woman was one of them. A Chinese monk who's responsible for helping to bring Buddhism into Vietnam. And of course, this is the well-known Anagarika Dharmapala of the Theravada tradition, and he basically revolutionized Buddhism. He existed in the 1800s and 1900s. You can read more about him by reading some of Madame Blavatsky's books. If anybody of you are acquainted with Madame Blavatsky, she's a rather interesting character. So anyway, she basically sort of like discovered Dharmapala and, really helped make him more popular. The one here on the left is Venerable Quan Duc, the first Vietnamese monk to burn himself to death. He is widely recognized as a bodhisattva. On the right is a picture of his heart. After his death, because he did this in a large intersection in Saigon City, when they took his body, they found his heart was unburned. So they indicated that was a suggestion of his great bodhisattva powers, to leave his heart unburned. So they collected that, and that is still kept today. And of course, the great living bodhisattva, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And this is one of the great academic teachers of Tibet, Tsongkhapa. Now this is a woman by the name of Machik Lobdrome. She's a very fast text reader. And in fact, the more text you can have read, the greater your merit that you obtain. So if you want to get really great merit, you would ask her to read all these texts, recite all these texts for you. She could do them quite fast, and was widely known as the great bodhisattva. This is the living bodhisattva in the Himalaya region. Now this is a rather interesting photo because this gentleman was a living bodhisattva who was discovered. He went into meditation. He was supposed to meditate for 600 years. When they finally broke open his Nanakuti, but the cave where he was living in, they discovered him there. His hair was still growing. His fingernails were still growing. It must have been quite long after 600 years. But at any rate, there's a picture of him there. You can see the hair on top of his head. Some of it is still black, which really interests me. And of course, this is one of those stupas built to hold relics of a bodhisattva. Again, relics. This little stupa in front of the image also holds relics. It's called the reliquary. Future bodhisattvas. And the hope for the...
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you. Okay, since we are going to break into the group discussions for the morning, so we have very limited time for question and answer. So may we take 2 questions for now? Yes, please, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to ask a question to the panel. May I ask why most Buddhist film, arts and paintings portray a very surreal, tranquil, and mythical scenes which are very far from everyday life? May any of the panel like to answer the question?
Okay, do we understand the question? Can you?
Yeah.
Why it's just there. Seems so real.
Are they real paintings?
Yeah, what I meant was, why do we portray the most Buddhist film or painting? It's portray a very serene scenes,
Very remote.
stories, which are very tranquil, which is very far from the samsaric world of what we live every day.
Okay, thank you. So,
We still don't understand what his question is.
Oh, yeah. Why these protests bodhisattvas so severe so hard to
okay. Yes, Venerable General.
I think we are doing too much thing about the mundane world, and then we need something from the other side, and that is a kind of to work as a stimulation to our daily life, and then show us, there is something beyond, our daily, activities. So then we can transform ourselves, not only to be an ordinary, person, and then also the power from our heart and mind, can be very powerful to be used for all the human beings, all beings and sentient beings, not only for ourselves, because the mundane world is only, carried on by our desires. That is kind of the activities of the mundane world. I think that is what the Buddhism want to emphasize, because we are already bored, too much boring things in the modern, world, and then I think, and it's also not very, it's everybody can see it and can touch it and feel it, so it seems it's nothing much we can, really, but also, when we talk about how could we cultivate ourselves, and then we have to face to our desires and what is the problem of this world, and then that we have to look at the mundane world. So there's a different focuses, and for here, because it's an image of the enlightenment. So, and then we bring in the Buddha and Bodhisattva's images.
Thank you, Venerable. Do any of our panelists have anything to add?
No, perfect.
Okay, all right. So, is there a second question? Yes.
I'm very keen to know about Venerable says, actually wanting to become, from layman, you become the nuns, I would like to know what makes you want to become a nun.
Venerable, two venerables here. Yeah, what made the two venerables here decide to become?
Oh, this is because there's something not belong to mundane.
Yeah, it's true because the first time when I met my master, I was only a 21st year old, and I was a university school girl, and then at that time I didn't really understand what the Buddhism is, and I couldn't imagine what the realm, I couldn't search it in my mind. But when I look at my master, it's so calm and so kind, and I feel something inside. So, and then I study with her and practice with her, and I practice meditation and also study the Buddhist, teaching. And I kind of find something in my, inside. Yeah, so that is a kind of attractive to me, and that is not belong to the mundane world, and I couldn't find it in the mundane world. But then after that, I studied with my master for 33 years after, before she passed away in 2004, and I still have the faith and the belief even stronger, and because from my own transforming myself, and I really believe it. If we do it, and then we can, make it. Yeah. So the Buddhism, the teaching, and the Dharma, and the so-called the enlightenment of our Buddha nature is our inner nature. So everybody can make it through our practice. So it's a combination of the wisdom and compassion. Yeah.
How I became a nun is rather a long story. I don't want to go into all the details, but it starts in the late 60s. I was teaching school, and I was really suffering at that time. And I was going through a divorce, and plus ending another relationship. I don't know if any of you have been in that situation or not, but I certainly was. At any rate, it was a time of free love. It was also the time of restructuring American society. These were anti-war demonstrations, anti-discrimination demonstrations. It was a very, very fruitful time in the U.S., but it left me a bit confused. I was involved in all those demonstrations. At any rate, when I saw this course being offered at UCLA called Buddhism and Zen, I thought, I'm going to take that class. Because somehow in my heart I knew I was Buddhist, although I knew nothing about Buddhism. Then when I went to the class, this man in business who was teaching the course, and the first night he taught us the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and taught us how to meditate. And I was caught from then on. I think why you come to Buddhism is because something in your life is not satisfactory. I think that's how all of us came to Buddhism. And at that time, I had no intention of becoming a nun. I was wearing boots up to my knees and short skirts and long beads and the whole thing, So but when Thich Jack came to LA in 1969, my master called me and said, Karuna, I want you to come to meet my best friend. I said, okay, so I went to his apartment, and there, by the way, that gentleman who was teaching the course turned out to be my teacher. He was an exchange professor at that time to UCLA. So when I walked in, Dr. Chianan turned to Dr. Jack and said to him in English, this is going to be my first nun. I was shocked. I could not believe it. And Dr. Jack said something back to him in Vietnamese, at which they laughed. I did not ask what the point was, but I'm going to tell you this because Zen masters are very frequently very earthy. After Dr. Chianan died, I said to Dr. Jack one time, I said, Dr. Jack, do you remember when we met? The first time we met? He said, yes. I said, do you remember the conversation you had with Chianan? Yes. I said, what did you say to him that made both of you laugh? He said, I told him I didn't believe it because your skirts were too short and your boobs were too big. And it was not until about 5 years later that I suddenly found that I thought that I would become a nun. So one day I went up to my master in his private quarters and I prostrated myself before him and I said, Dr. Chianan, will you accept me to become a nun? And he looked at me and he said, yes. So I was, you don't intend upon doing things in your life. In fact, I don't think that I ever had a choice in my life. Things just happen.
Karma.
You know, that's how I ended up here. I have no idea.
I'm sure it's very special karmic connections that we're all here today. We're certainly all on the same path. We have to end this session here. We'd like to thank all our presenters today. And next, we are going to break into small group discussion. And the topic will be, can women achieve enlightenment? I think the sub-question will be something like, do women have to become men, to be reborn as men before achieving enlightenment? Again, we are going to distribute a sheet with guidelines for group discussion. So upon leaving the doorway, please pick up a sheet, and you're going to see the color stickers there. So you will be ushered to the areas, to different groups. And with the guideline there, we are also, again, assuming all the group participants to assume leadership. We are sure there will be some emerging leadership among you. And if you happen to be bilingual, trilingual, if you could help facilitating us, the so-called language buddies, language facilitators, please don't be shy. Okay, we need your help to facilitate the groups. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. And the last thing, may I also call upon the workshop conductors, the workshop facilitators this afternoon to come forward. We'll have a little discussion about the workshop this afternoon. Thank you. For those of you who haven't had a chance to sign up for the workshops, please go and sign up one of the workshops. Thank you very much.
那我们掌声非常感谢所有的讲师们的主持人，谢谢。Thank you so much.
comes.
My name is Juliet. I'm Malaysian. Actually, I was at Chinese Buddhist magazine. So, exciting tourists from all the countries. Nice to meet all the different ways and all the things.
How do you end up if somebody needs maybe the relative a big deal with it. No, that's okay. Something in life those are all good questions. Like if everybody in the world tries to be involved in education. If you need to eat, I'm looking at my guy, sorry.
No, those are good questions because those are the things that people ask when, when they start to do practices for long periods of time. How will I have the money for that long period of time to sustain myself? And that's one of the questions that everybody has to ask, whether it's nuns or monks or lay people. We all have that question. We're not going to live on air. We're not that developed.
How long it's been deliberating.
Yeah. Let's hear from one of the men. What do you think? Yes. So I have it over here. Okay.
They say always in this world can is the future of the others. So I'm so creative
At present, not here. Yes, not still not sleeping. Yes,
We know
yes.
that.
Yes.
Not sleeping on the top.
And number 6, on 8 visit, number 6, don't eat milk after 12. Yes, after 12. And evening, I cannot eat. 8 visit, I cannot eat. I cannot
Wear ornaments.
dance. Sing a song. Yeah, entertainment. Yes, I cannot entertainment, and I cannot sleep on high bed. Yes, high bed, sit high bed. Right.
My one question, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can my cheese become enlightened?
Yes.
Can you become fully enlightened and your sisters fully enlightened? With 8 precepts or 10 precepts, or what do you think? That's the question.
In Thailand, when I stay in Thailand, 8 precepts okay for me.
Right.
Because I work everything in my temple. For example, cook, teach, and involve.
Right.
Yes, it involved the problem feminine people. Yes, of the woman. Yes, of the woman. I work very hard in my temple. I'm okay.
I think the question is, cannot become in Thailand, woman cannot become bikini.
Cannot.
Meiji.
Yes.
But can Meiji become enlightened?
Yes.
Thank you.
Lay people become enlightenment. Lay people, lay women become enlightenment.
like to, Louise, can this Venerable talk to us about her experience? Can you ask her? Yeah. What country? Where are you? What country? Malaysia.
She asked me. I know clearly what is the word.
Could you repeat what you said more loudly?
你做什么要想？像我，什么意思？什么叫做干净？A holy water. Oh, I see.
Repeat what you said more loudly because we didn't hear.
OK， 你那天讲的，你是讲那天的事是吗？So, what she's telling me now, she said to her can be enlightened in such a way they must really work and they have really committed and they have to work hard to live in a temple. And she tried to tell us the other day when we are taking good photograph. So actually she prayed and asked for it because she wants us to she asked for the rain, to make sure everybody can cool down, and that I consider as holy water. Okay, that is something she tried to tell.
Question here. As a Buddha, there are many conditions